Well, the first polls are closing in Indiana and Kentucky as the United States enters the final hours of voting in this election. Voters say democracy and the economy are the most important issues informing how they voted in the US election, early exit polls suggest. But at first blush, the opening round of exit polls aren't too surprising, many would say. But Patsy Veerakuswara joins us to testify what's happening on ground zero. Patsy, what does the mood indicate? The economy and the state of democracy have emerged as the two top issues for American voters this year?
Well, of course, other than economy and the state of democracy, there's also the issue of immigration and abortion. Immigration is very important for Trump supporters, while abortion is a very key concern for Harris supporters. Right now, behind me is the Harris headquarters election watch party tonight, where in a few hours, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, her VP pick, will come and hopefully celebrate with her supporters. As you can see, people are starting to trickle in. Harris herself is right now having dinner with her family, a private dinner, and won't be seen until a couple more hours. Nevertheless, the campaign is saying that they are confident they're going to keep on focus to see this process through. I think you mentioned some states have seen results trickling in. There's about 6 states where polls are closing shortly or around 7 p.m., just a few more minutes from now. And then we'll start to see the results coming in from several states, for example, Florida, Georgia, and other states as well to follow. So definitely a lot to look out for tonight. But right now, the mood here is starting to feel celebratory. I don't know if you can hear the music behind me. This is them checking the sound. Just a few minutes ago, there's the singing of the national anthem. So it's going to be a long party, but how long, we don't yet know.
Well, thanks so much, Patsy, for joining us from that location. We will, of course, revert to you for regular updates as things get fast and hot and moving. For Republicans, as Patsy is highlighting, immigration joined the economy near the top of their concerns, an issue that hardly merited a mention from Democrats. But for those on the left, abortion rights along with democracy were much more important. It is a bit of a surprise that the economy wasn't a dominant top issue for American voters, given how much of the political debate has actually centered around the post-pandemic spike in inflation. But it could be, as analysts point out, because there were some Republicans also worried about the state of American democracy, albeit for very different reasons than Democrats. Of course, these exit polls are rough data points, and that should not be treated as gospel, as we have mentioned, given extremely stringent health warnings. But the real verdict in this election is yet to come. 7 swing states will decide whether Kamala Harris or Donald Trump is sworn in as the next president of the United States in January. And their polling averages are all within the margin of error. In fact, in an election this close, small constituencies really matter. Well, we have William Denslow joining us now at the moment. William, it's going to be a busy night for you ahead. What is the mood indicating, and what are American voters most concerned about this time around?
Well, I'm here at a Trumpsters event around 15 miles or so from Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's primary residence here in West Palm Beach, around 10 miles or so from the convention center where Donald Trump is expected to address his supporters a little bit later this evening on the East Coast. And this Trumpsters event is a group that meets around every week of Donald Trump supporters, Republican supporters. And as you can see behind me, this party is just getting started. The band has just started to play, and it's certainly a buoyant mood here at this party. Plenty of optimism that Donald Trump can reclaim the presidency. That optimism is further fueled by comments made by Donald Trump himself at a polling station shortly after he cast his ballot along with his wife Melania here in Palm Beach a few hours ago. He said they are doing well everywhere. He said that his team is very confident. For Donald Trump, he said the key issues in the minds of his supporters: immigration, border security, and that of the economy.
Economy, immigration, inflation have emerged as the top issues that have been echoed amongst many states in America. In fact, many political watchers assert that the argument that Harris has underperformed tends to actually rest on two different charges, that she's played it too safe when it comes to policy issues, and that she's also played it too vague when it comes to issues of economy and the immigration. We also have Kate Fisher joining us at the moment. Kate, the national environment in the United States in general, is it one with all the ingredients for a Republican landslide and a conservative cultural rebuke? What have you been able to pick up on?
Well, I'm here in the center of Washington, D.C. at a watch party full of Kamala Harris supporters. They're actually queuing up out the door to get in here. The TV screens are showing the American networks. The people here optimistic that she has a chance of making history and becoming the first, not just woman, but Indian American and African American woman to become president of the United States. After a hectic campaign schedule, of course, she only became the nominee in the summer. She spent today calling into radio shows across those swing states, which are the ones that will determine who becomes the president. And then she went to a phone bank here in Washington, D.C., picked up the phone and talked to some voters, persuading them to head to the polls for her. I just want to show you that in this bar here in Washington, D.C., they're giving you a map of the United States, and you can color in with your crayons when each state goes to which color. It is so close, it's impossible to know who is going to win this yet, but certainly the people here are all hoping it will be Kamala Harris.
Well, let's hope that map that they have to color in doesn't look split between both blue and red. Americans have been quite excited about this entire election and the run-up. We have seen people have been tied between both sides, but they've also been quite vocal and upset with the direction the country is heading in. This is what we've also been able to pick up from different polls. Republicans, though, seem to have an edge in national party identification. In fact, I must inform our viewers here in India as well that comparison to the last few decades, more people in America are actually identifying as Republican than Democrats as well. And pollsters have said that this may end up benefiting Donald Trump by the end of this day, perhaps week if it takes long to declare the election results. But Republicans have an edge in national party identification, as has been pointed out by pollsters. Also, Kate, Republicans tend to have an edge on most of the issues that seem to matter to voters, is what many argue, specifically the economy and immigration, right?
Well, certainly Donald Trump has made the economy and immigration two of the biggest things that he's been speaking about, and it is essentially the two biggest things for all American voters, not just the Republicans. But all the polls show that the country is split really down the middle, and that half of the country agrees with the way Donald Trump wants to lead the economy and his policies on immigration, which include things like mass deportations, whereas the other half do not want to see those policies brought in. And that's the big issue. The big fundamental thing here is that they are fundamentally different from each other. And the country remains completely divided. So even though, yes, Republicans find immigration and the economy important, so do Democrats. They just both believe that each candidate is the right one to lead in that way, but they cannot find any sort of agreement between it. It means that whoever wins this election, and we may not know that tonight, will have real trouble, because half of the country will not want them in power. So whoever wins is also going to have to try and bring some kind of unity to a very polarized nation.
Well, Kate, thanks so much for joining us with that update. We'll, of course, revert to you for a regular update. It's going to be a long night for you. We also have with us from Texas at the moment, Huma Iqbal. Huma, you're in Texas. Take us through some of the things, some of the moves that have appeared to be paying off for both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in Texas.
Hello, good morning to you guys, and it's almost closing time over here. showtime for us over here in the US, and I think it's a very nail-biting, a very close to neck-to-neck kind of a race that is going on. I see a lot of supporters for both sides, and a lot of people are coming in numbers. As you can see behind me, the lines, the queues are still so long. And you know, I have here the constable elected for Precinct 3 right now with us, Nabil Shaikh. Hello, and good evening, Nabil.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Glorious 4 years. How and what different did you do for the community?
So, very first thing that we did was diversify our police department. Precinct 3 is the most diverse precinct in the most diverse county in America, and the police department didn't represent the diverse community. So the first things that we did was to bring a qualified and competent command staff to represent the community a little bit better. The constables used to shut down their offices at 10 o'clock at night. We stopped that. We're now 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're here at the Four Corners Community Center. You look at all the events that we've been able to have throughout the last 4 years. We brought the first iftar to Fort Bend County. We came in during COVID, so all of the PPE equipment that we were giving out, food, water. Every year we have a Thanksgiving turkey drive. We do Memorial Day bashes. A lot of the stuff that we use all community.
So what do you think is the main issues that our community is facing at the moment, and how should we elect, and what are the things that we should look for a change?
So right now what's under attack is female reproductive rights. I'm a proud father of 3 daughters, and so female reproductive rights are a huge issue, and it's a huge issue amongst women voters. And that's what we're seeing a lot out here. Even Republican voters refusing to vote for Donald Trump because of his stance when it comes to female reproductive rights.
And then if re-elected, what is your plans for the next 4 years?
Just to really continue to build on some of the amazing things that we've done over these last 4 years. We're still working on our accreditation, which is the best policies and procedures that you can have in law enforcement. And so we're about 60 policies away now. We've accomplished probably about 2/3 of it. And so hopefully, God willing, about February of next year, we should have it.
And your thoughts on the immigration policies?
You know, immigration policies, as law enforcement, we just have to enforce some of the laws. We do have some discretion on, we can not do what certain things, the government, the federal or the state government tells us.
Do you see a lot of undocumented, because Texas is the hub for undocumented people, a lot of them. So how do you plan to handle that?
Well, I mean, we got to figure out a pathway to citizenship for everybody. I think, you know, people leave other countries to come here to America to try to find a better life. And so not everybody that's coming here are criminals. Not everybody that's coming here are trying to do harm to the United States. So we have to, when you look at immigration, you got to look at ways where you can vet the people coming in. And once they're here, figure out a way for them to have an easy pathway to citizenship. It doesn't do the country any good if they're not paying any taxes or they're not contributing to the economy. And if we could figure out a way to allow them to pay taxes, give them social security numbers and driver's license, so now they can be productive citizens of the county.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and back to the studio.